All right, everyone. Today is Monday. Supposedly we're getting snow later in the week. So that's something maybe we can be happy or not about. Maybe not. You know what, Sean, we had that little snow, you know what song was in my head and it didn't leave? What was that? Oh, from Frozen.
Right from the start, Jamal sets the stage with raw vulnerability. 6 months in custody, cut off from his parents for the first time in nearly 4 decades. Think about that. 38 years under one roof, and now silence. This isn't just a case about law. It's about family fractures colliding head-on with the justice system.
You want to build a snowman? All right, everyone, please confirm. All right, court is calling 2024 CR 011671, State of Texas versus Jamal Ricardo Fischer. If I could have parties announced for the record for the state.
State of Texas.
Defense.
Attorney Albert Oswald, Mr. Fisher.
And are you Mr. Fisher?
Yes, ma'am.
You're charged with injury to the elderly or disabled with intentional bodily injury. That's a 3rd-degree felony. Range of punishment is anywhere from 2 to 10 years in prison and up to a $10,000 fine. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
If you have a plea bargain agreement with the state, the court does not have to follow your plea. If for any reason the court does not follow your plea and gives you more than you bargained for, the fact that you entered a plea will not be used against you, and you will be allowed to withdraw your plea. Did you understand?
Yes.
According to the plea, the state is proceeding on count 2. There's a $1,500 fine. State recommends deferred adjudication. There's an affirmative finding of family violence. There's to be no contact with the complainant and a mental.
That charge isn't minor. Injury to the elderly is a 3rd-degree felony in Texas, carrying up to 10 years behind bars. And because it involves a family member, the law automatically tacks on a family violence finding. Translation: even if Jamal avoids prison, this label will follow him for life.
Health evaluation. Did you understand that to be the plea?
Yes, ma'am.
Defense, is that the plea?
It is, Your Honor.
State, is that the plea? Are you proceeding with sentencing?
We are, Your Honor.
Anything you wish to say on behalf of your client?
We're asking that you follow the plea bargain agreement, Your Honor. My client's been in custody since the offense date back in August of 2024. He's had an opportunity to think about, why he's here today and actually accept responsibility. He understands that if granted the application for probation, how daunting that it may be, but in speaking to him, he's ready to move on with his life and make a difference. He understands what he did was wrong. And I believe he has something to tell you, Judge. If he can.
If you have something you wish to tell me, I'll place you under oath.
I'm sure.
All right, can you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can lower your hand, state your name for the record.
My name is Jamal Ricardo Fischer.
All right, what do you wish to say?
Miss Boyd, I can tell, even taking the glasses off, I'm nearsighted. Both of you and I have these little scars right here from our glasses. And I was just giving you earlier, without my glasses on, I can barely see you. 6 months ago.
This is the moment defense attorneys live for, the heartfelt client speech. But in court, words can be double-edged swords. A powerful apology might sway the judge toward leniency, or it could come off rehearsed. Let's see how Jamal handles the spotlight.
On August 26th, I reacted to what I felt. No matter what anyone is going through, how I choose to react to it is completely and totally up to me. And these days, I choose happiness. I cry a lot because it's been a long 6 months. And the last 2 or 3 of them, I haven't spoken to my family. The last 6, I haven't talked to my dad. Last 2 or 3, I haven't talked to my mom. And I've lived with them for the entire 38 years of my life. What happened to me didn't just happen to me, it happened to us. But my parents were never to blame. And I couldn't see that because of, lack of communication, being a 38-year-old and immature in some parts. But I'm glad to be before you today. And I when I say that the last 6 months have been the best 6 months of my life, I don't intend or want to be back in jail. But it was time that I needed to listen to myself. It was time I needed to listen to God. It was time I needed to really reflect, not just on, the time in here, but the last 38 years of my life. And I'm happy standing before you and my parents today, knowing that God gave me a reason for existing. And it's to bring happiness to myself, my family, and anyone else that I encounter. And no matter what I'm going through in life, no matter how hard it is, I don't have to not be happy. And I surely don't have to take my unhappiness in a moment out on someone, especially not my dad.
Any questions?
For the future.
So here's my question. One, it appears that you're not going to be allowed to live with your parents. So why were you, as a 38-year-old, living with them in the first place?
Well, over a decade ago, I'll admit that I was a drug addict, and my parents were enablers. They loved me as much.
Whoa! Did you catch that? Jamal admits to lashing out at his own father. That's not just a confession, it's a gut punch. The courtroom tension just spiked, because while he's owning up, it also underscores the brutal reality. This isn't just theory. His dad was the victim.
As a parent could love their child and then some, and so they didn't want to kick me out on the street. They didn't want to, despite me stealing, thieving, and whatnot. That was not the case over the last 2 years. Over the last 2 years, I have done anything and everything I could to get a job. Actually, let me take that back. At the beginning of those 2 years, I was completely sober. In a 2-week span, I had gotten off of all pharmaceutical medications. I decided I no longer wanted to smoke cigarettes, which I had been doing since I was legally allowed to smoke cigarettes, and I no longer wanted to use drugs. And I kept that promise to myself for nearly a year. I was racially profiled and wrongly terminated from my job, fell off that horse, but I remained sober. I didn't smoke cigarettes, and I just decided to get back on that horse. Only I didn't get back on it. After a month of not having any work, I was fine. After 3 months of not having any work, not so much. After 6 months of not having any work, of having my parents' Wi-Fi hacked, my cell phone hacked, of having people whose identities I still don't know listen on my phone calls, things were getting testy.
So let me ask you this.
Yes, ma'am.
Your prescribed medications, what were they for?
When I was 21, I was a full-blown heroin addict, and I was depressed because I was a full-blown heroin addict. I'd swallowed 1,300 milligram trazodones because I was tired of my life. I was hospitalized off of Floyd Curl for 7 days, and part of my discharge paperwork was to go see
Okay, here's the thing. I need you to slow down because the court reporter has to take down everything.
I apologize. I was hospitalized up to the hospital of Floyd Curl because Methodist. Part of my discharge paperwork was to see this man, his name was Dr. Moody, not making that up. He talked to me for 35 minutes and said that I had bipolar 2 disorder, prescribed me lithium and clonazepam, and I was 21, max 22. At the time, because I was raised to respect my elders and because I was in the hands of a doctor, I just kind of said, okay. I was never bipolar. I never had bipolar 1, never had bipolar 2, but for over a decade, I kept taking clonazepam. Lithium I got off within about 2 years, but I never needed that medication. I never needed lithium, and it took my ex, who I was then with, to wake me up to the fact that I didn't need to be on that benzo.
And do you have any children?
No, ma'am, I wish I did.
Okay. All right, any other questions?
No further questions.
All right. So, is his father here?
Oh, I think he.
All right, if we can have his father come up, please.
You gonna step aside?
Yes. So, could you raise your right hand for me, please?
Yes,
Do
ma'am.
you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can lower your hand, state your name for the record.
James Henry Fisher.
All right. So, both parties have agreed for your son to have probation.
Yes, ma'am.
And part of my job is to put in place conditions that will help him be rehabilitated and help him with whatever issues he may have.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't do cookie cutter probations. Everybody doesn't receive the same conditions. So what is it you think he needs? Is there some mental health issues going on here?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
When he's talking about being diagnosed with bipolar, he was diagnosed, that's true. And when he says his ex convinced him that he wasn't bipolar and he quit taking medications, mom goes through mood swings.
Mhm.
And like I said, I'm not a physician, but the physician said he was bipolar. But a friend on his ex said he wasn't, so he decided to go with what the friend of the ex said. And when I said mood swings, it's 1 minute he's happy and up and everything's great. The next minute, the world is crumbling, and then there's an anger part of that. Okay, and my wife and I have been dealing with that most of his adult life. He has a pleasant personality, but like I said, for me, on the 26th of August, Jamal beat me with a metal cane like I was a piece of meat.
Mhm.
Okay, and broke into the house, did a whole bunch of negative stuff that you all have records for. I never understood why. Today, I don't understand why.
Mhm.
Okay, but some of the same things that he's saying to you as far as the ex convincing him not to take the medication and him not being on medication. And I'm not a doctor, but like when he was on the medication, it seemed like it was happening. Okay. He has had an issue with maintaining jobs. He told me and my wife that we had aliens in my backyard. The Masons was after him. My Wi-Fi had been hacked and all this other stuff. Now, I don't know if the Wi-Fi was hacked or not. It could be because it happens all the time. But as far as some of this other stuff.
And there it is, the father's testimony. The very man Jamal claims to love standing in court describing a violent attack. Imagine being a parent torn between protection and punishment. Should blood ties soften justice or make accountability hit harder? What would you do if it were your child?
There's a Masonic lodge down from my house. He talked about going down there blowing up the lodge. And I'm like, Jamal, those folks aren't messing with you, okay? But he had a couple of pictures on his phone where he felt that people were following him and this type of stuff. And to me, that was all the mental part. Like I said, I'm not a doctor, I'm not saying I'm correct, but he just made me feel that way.
So let me ask you, do you think it would help him? Because they do have placement in a mental facility to make sure that he is on his medications, to make sure he has a case manager. Do you think that's what he needs and that's what would help him?
Yes, ma'am. I mean, when I talked to the DA's Mrs. Jones this morning, and she was talking about what could happen like as far as 2 to 10 years of type of stuff. And I told her that if Jamal went to jail for 10 years, that's still not going to help him because he has mental issues in my opinion. So my focus is, even though he assaulted me, is he's my son. I love him till I leave this earth, but he actually needs some help. Okay, and he doesn't understand that or doesn't see that. You can ask my wife, she's here. And we've been dealing with him for 30 years. And
so I will tell you what my plan is with conditions, is to get him help for mental health issues. The question is whether or not you want to have phone contact, but because before he has in-person contact with you outside of court settings, I like to start people off slow.
Right.
So are you okay with him speaking to you just by phone or speaking to your wife by phone?
He talks to her now.
Okay.
Okay, so he hasn't talked to me since the 26th of August. And I don't have an issue with that. Okay.
All right. So what I can tell you is I'll start off with the contact will only be by phone, or either if you all want to do it by Zoom, but there'll be no in-person contact. And once a doctor or therapist or probation says to me that it will be safe for him to have in-person contact with his parents, and you all are okay with that, then I'll strongly consider his having in-person contact.
Okay.
All right.
That's fine.
All right. Is there anything else I need to know about your son?
Other than that, like I said, I don't know what made him do what he did. His whole adult life or his whole life, we've been trying to just be decent parents. And I got 4 kids. And the only time I've been in a courtroom like this was with Jamal. Okay, several years ago, same thing. Okay, so, and that's what I was telling the attorney. I don't know what will help him. I hope this is the last time that I have to come into a courtroom.
Well, I would tell you, in my experience, a lot of mental health issues for males happen around the 18-year mark. For females, sometimes it's a little bit later. Sometimes it's mid-20s for females, but usually for males, the mental health issues, if they happen, usually around the 18-year mark. And when I say mental health issues, I don't mean mental health based upon traumatic things that happen. I mean the schizophrenia, the bipolar, that type of thing. All right, thank you so much.
Sure, thank you.
All right, this is what the court is going to do. There's a $1,500 fine that will be probated. The court will sentence you to 4 years deferred adjudication. If there's to be regular reporting by Zoom or in person, there's to be regular random UAs. How far did you go in school?
I completed trade school for welding, got my combination welder certification, and I also got my CDL.
All right, 100 hours of community service restitution. Probation, if he actually uses his CDL, then the court will consider waiving 50 of those hours. There's to be no in-person contact. All right. Probation. Let's do a referral to felony drug court and let them know it's for dual diagnosis. And when felony drug court comes to speak to you, you need to let them know about the heroin use. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
And then there is going to be a MIC evaluation and DRF. That's to be in custody. And I tell you what, you know what I'll do with the 100 hours of community service restitution? Because I don't know if this is an anger management issue or just some mental health issues. With the anger management, once he completes that, the community service hours will be deemed satisfied. Proof of employment or SSI within 45 days of release. There's to be no employment as a home health care provider or with minors. All right, we can go off the record. You have victim impact? All right, you may proceed.
Just, Judge, sorry, one other thing. There is a protective order that was ordered. It's in place for 2 years. So I know the whole contact thing. I just wanted to make sure the
All right,
court's aware.
so the court was unaware of that. Since there's a protective order in place, you need to follow that protective order.
Yes, ma'am.
So if your mother is included in that protective order, you cannot have contact with her at all. Because that's what it says.
She's the go-between between me and my dad. Not that I need to talk to my dad, but it was, as far as I know, it was established that I could call and talk to her.
All right, you all need to make sure that that's the case because I don't want any violation.
Yes, ma'am.
So probation, with regards to his condition, with regards to his conditions, there's to be no contact with the complainant. All right, thank you. Court is calling 2024 CR 012861 State versus John Calvin Berry. Sir, you need to move over. John Calvin Berry Jr. Can I have parties announced for the record for the state? Defense.
Renee Munoz for defendant.
And are you Mr. Berry?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we are here because there is a second and third violation report. The second violation report from pretrial services is that you have not made contact with them and they've tried to make contact with you. The third violation report, you were rearrested on an offense, and that's 2025 PF 02617. That was probably with Judge Nahara. So with regards to the third violation report, any recommendations from either side? Do you want a bond increase? Do you want him to continue? He's in custody on the 2025 PF 02617 case, which is a theft case. And it's a third-degree felony theft case. And on this case, it's a theft case. And there's some issues where they say that he's been referred for Center for Healthcare Services.
We requested bond increase and just asking motions of bonds should the court give it to him this
And Your Honor, if I may respond in reference to the second violation report, I did go over that matter with my client regarding the reporting. He stated that he was seeing Center for Healthcare and reporting to a case manager that they wanted to reschedule a certain meeting. And he showed up and they weren't there and they counted as a no-show. He had been checking in reference to the third violation report. Just remains silent as to that. We asked that he be continued on probation, be continued on pretrial bond with the same conditions.
All right, so why wasn't he reporting to pretrial services? Because in the second violation report, they called all the numbers they were given.
I was reporting, ma'am. It's just they were giving me a hard time. I called and left messages and I was calling in. It's just I could never get a hold of my officer. And for me to never get a hold of my officer and for her to never check her messages, my mother even was trying to get a hold of him. She could never even get a hold of her. But the thing is they're giving me a hard time. Like my first initial visit to go get medication, it was a month and a half for me to wait a month and a half before I could go to my appointment. So I ended up going to the Lower Ridge. I went to Lower Ridge for 3 weeks. I got out, I had some medications, and then I went to my initial orientation visit. Well,
Just one moment. Norma? Yes, ma'am. Can you have pretrial services zoom in? We're gonna have pretrial services zoom in. Yes, just have a seat and we'll come back to you. All right, we're back on the record in 2024 CR 012861, John Cowan Berry. If I gotta have parties, please re-announce for the record.
Renee Munoz or Mr. Berry.
And are you Mr. Berry?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so this is the update. The court reached out to the pretrial services officer and the supervisor, at least through the coordinator. The coordinator informs the court that neither are available. They're all out of the office. So, based upon what your client has told me, even though he wasn't under oath, and based upon what has happened here today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to rule on the motions and I'm going to continue with all previous conditions. We can go off the record. This is what you need to do. When you call, you need to document the date and time you call, and you need to always make sure that you leave a message. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
But I would always tell my clients, I would say, do you know what your trustworthy is with everybody? And they'd say, oh, it's not that great. I would tell them it's less than 0. You have to build up your trust, right? So in order for you to build up your trust, you have their information, you call them, you leave a message, you document it, you write it down. This is the time I called, I left the message. If they have an email address for you, and you can, email them and keep those records. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Because otherwise, what I'm looking at is what you're charged with. It's a crime of moral turpitude. And then you have, on the one hand, pretrial officer saying you never report it. You're saying you report it. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
That is why I always like for pretrial services officer to zoom in. So hopefully everybody can get on the same page. Like maybe they don't have your contact information. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So counsel, how much time are you requesting?
In reference to this matter, Judge, standard 3-4 week resets to look into the new case.
All right, Ms. Ferguson, if you can call Mr. Berry in 30 days, please. And we can put it as a discovery.
Yes, Your Honor.
It'll be February 27th.
And if you're still in custody and your counsel wants you brought over sooner, you can be brought over sooner. All right, do you have any other questions? All right, we will